So my name is George Harb. I'm from Cleveland. One of my biggest passions is I actually like to document my family's history. When my grandfather he passed away, I got passed down the family tree that we have for the Harb family. So I try to keep track of it. When I come across somebody new, I like to add them onto the tree. It's a fairly big tree. It was drawn in 1946 by my great grandfather. I like to sit with my grandmother. I have all of her old photos. So I'll take a picture. I'll ask her, where is this photo? What year was this photo taken? Who's in the photo? I label them. And any kind of story that she brings up with it, I write it on the back of the picture too. So I have a whole book of just her photos and any recollection of memories that she has, and I have it all written down. But that's what I like to do in my free time. So I was raised, I was born in America. My dad was actually first generation, so he was born here. His parents came in here the 1960s. And my mom, she came here during the first Intifada. So she came here in the late 80s. So my household it's a very Palestinian Arab household, with my dad being a slight American. So it was very interesting. My parents, they differed with, how each person was raised. My dad was more American, my mom was more Arab. But my mom, she's fairly Americanized too. Growing up with Arabic food, languages in the house all the time. Both my parents are fluent. So I knew how to speak it. Now I know how to read and write. But growing up, it was really, really nice. I was always surrounded by family. I was always at my grandmother's side, my grandfather on my father's side. We had lunches, dinners together. We were always together. They're always full of stories. It was very, very fun growing up as a kid. So the first time I was actually two, so I don't actually recollect that whole thing. But the second time I went was in 2016. I went through the Federation. I went on Project Hope. It was probably the experience of a lifetime. I'll never have that experience again. They took us to Jordan. They took us all over. We worked with kids camp. Then they took us to Palestine. They took us all around. They took us to, Haifa, Akka, Yafa, Jerusalem. And they also took us, we stayed in Ramallah. We worked with the municipality. We planted trees. We got to know the community very well. We got to walk around, explore, see our old family's houses, see old friends, family friends. And they also took us, to see the effects of the occupation. They took us to see the wall. That morning that we went to see the wall, they actually destroyed 4 or 5 houses. So we actually got to go, meet the families, and you just see these destroyed houses, and you saw the families outside, and you opened the fridge, there was food still inside. You saw the luggage, the furniture was outside. We went to a house which was, so the house is on top of a hill, and there's a settlement built around the house. So he refused to leave, so they built a gate around his house, and so the gate opens and closes whenever. So if he's stuck outside, he's stuck. If he's stuck inside, he stays inside. There's a tarp around the gate because the settlers, they throw, garbage or anything. But it really took a toll just to see, being as someone born in America. So you see your view versus your family's view. They saw something totally different than what you see. So your experience is totally different. Mine was more, it was more heavy on my heart. I felt guilty having fun while I was there, knowing that I have my people there suffering, and that I was born here. I have the option for freedom. I can say what I want. I can do what I want. I can live like a human. But it was very, very depressing and very sad to be there. But I felt like I was at home. Like I felt like I belonged. Because being a diaspora, it's hard to live here, and you're in between here and there, and you don't know where you fit in. But when I was there, I felt like I fit in over there. So I've always been known to be an activist. I have social media, so I have my big platform is Twitter. So I tweet about the effects of the occupation. I always speak up for Palestinians, our human rights, our autonomy, our rights as human beings. So beforehand, like it's very hard to speak on it because I mean you only see ever pictures or videos, but when you're actually there, I mean you actually feel what everybody else is feeling. You feel the disparity, you feel that not knowing feeling if you're going to be alive the next day or if you're going to have a house the next day. Um, but I mean, when I was there, I was, you know, I was harassed by soldiers. Um, so it really gave me a bigger insight on what I was fighting for exactly. Um, and since I was actually so big of an activist, I was actually targeted by it's like a blacklist. It's called Canary Mission. So I was actually targeted by them. So most of my tweets, they took and they labeled me as anti-Semitist, but my platform is I'm not anti-Semitist. They take it, if you're anti-Zionist, anti-Israel, they make it anti-Semitism. So, I mean, I still speak about it. That hasn't stopped me. And I hate how they actually, excuse me, sorry. I hate how they actually make people stop talking about it by putting them on that website. But, you know, I refuse to stop talking. I'm not gonna have some blacklist make me stop talking about my human rights, my people's human rights, their right to sovereignty, autonomy. But yeah. So my mother, she lived actually in Elbira, but I mean she grew up in Ramallah. Can I speak more so from my family, like my grandparents and things like that? Okay, so both of my sides of my grandparents, they knew each other growing up. Not completely, but they knew of each other. But the families were very close, and they said it was like a close-knit community. They said there was no difference between religions, Muslims or Christians. Everybody lived together. Everybody fasted together. Everybody celebrated together, ate together. And the Ramallah that they see is totally different than the one that I saw. My grandfather, when he actually came here, he would tell us that he never wanted to go back because the Ramallah he left wasn't the one that he'll go back to. But my other side, my grandmother, she hasn't been back since she left. I mean, she talks about it every day. She knows all the streets like the back of her hand. She says, this person was this person, this person's house was here, this person's house was here. We used to go here every day. So you had this sense of nostalgia and culture and tradition. And I wish I grew up in the same time that they did, just so I could see what they were talking about because it sounds so beautiful.